Welcome back to Wainsider, where we peel back the curtain, dive deep into the emotions, and uncover the truths that the cameras don't always want you to see. The Bloodline has always been more than just a faction, it's been a dynasty, a family bound not just by gold and glory, but by history, pressure, and the weight of legacy. For years, they stood together as an unshakable unit, each member carrying both pride and pain. Roman Reigns at the head of the table demanded loyalty, sacrifice, and obedience. Jey Uso carried scars of doubt and defiance. Solo Sikoa bore the role of silent enforcer. And Jimmy Uso often walked the dangerous line between rebellion and loyalty. Please like, share and subscribe for more WWE content. Through it all, family was both the bond and the weapon. Every victory was shared, but every mistake carried punishment. And yet, somehow, the ties of blood always pulled them back together. But outside the ring, reality can be more brutal than any storyline. Relationships, family lives, and the private struggles of superstars become tangled with the narrative, until truth and fiction bleed into each other. That's where Naomi enters the story. A star in her own right, a wife to Jimmy Uso, and someone who has stood beside him through every storm. Their love, at least on the surface, looked like it could endure anything. And yet, the wrestling world was rocked with rumors about Naomi's pregnancy, rumors that didn't just celebrate a new life, but cast shadows over Jimmy Uso's role in it. Backstage whispers grew louder, fans speculated online, and the tension followed Jimmy into the ring. Was he the proud father-to-be? Or was there more beneath the surface? For a man already battling his place within the bloodline, these questions weren't just personal, they were humiliating. To have his integrity, his family, and his name questioned shook him to his core. Week after week, Jimmy walked into the arena with the same swagger, the same energy, but behind his eyes, there was fire. This wasn't just about defending his wrestling legacy anymore, this was about defending his family. And then came the moment. The moment Jimmy Uso was forced to speak, forced to defend himself not just as a performer, but as a man. The denial was firm. Jimmy stood tall and declared he was not responsible for Naomi's pregnancy. It wasn't his child, it wasn't his story, and he wasn't going to carry that narrative on his back. The crowd was stunned. The locker room was stunned. For years, we had seen Jimmy Uso fight for championships, for family pride, for respect. But never had we seen him stripped down like this, raw and defiant, separating himself from the one person fans thought would always be his anchor. Halfway through the night, the shocking climax unfolded. Words turned into actions. An attack broke out, not in the scripted sense of competition, but in a way that felt targeted, calculated, and personal. Jimmy Uso, still reeling from the whispers and rumors, was blindsided. Taken out in brutal fashion, left broken in the center of the ring, his denial still ringing in the air as his body lay battered. The message was clear. This wasn't just about Naomi. This wasn't just about family. This was about breaking Jimmy Uso entirely, taking away not just his credibility, but his strength, his place, and his dignity. Backstage whispers erupted again. Who was behind the attack? Was it Braun Breaker making a name for himself? Was it Solo Sikoa sending a silent reminder that Jimmy had no place outside the bloodline's control? Or was it something even darker, a punishment for airing out family matters in public? Roman Reigns has remained silent, his absence now heavier than any presence. Jey Uso, though often torn, hasn't stepped forward. And Paul Heyman, he watches, he plots, he calculates, but he doesn't reveal. The whispers now cut deeper than ever. Did the bloodline see Jimmy's denial as betrayal? Did they view it as weakness? Or did they see it as the ultimate threat, that Jimmy might finally walk away from the table, free from their chains? Naomi herself has not spoken publicly. Her silence echoes louder than any statement. And with that silence, the questions only grow. For Jimmy, this attack wasn't just a physical beating. It was symbolic. A man who dared to separate himself from family business, who dared to deny responsibility, was made an example of. The WWE locker room has taken notice. Many see Jimmy as a victim, trapped between loyalty to blood and loyalty to truth. Others see him as reckless, pulling private pain into the public eye. But one thing is certain, trust has been shattered. Within the bloodline, within Jimmy's own home, within the eyes of the fans who once saw them as untouchable. This is more than a storyline. This is a fracture in a dynasty. This is the price of denial, the cost of independence, and the punishment for stepping outside the rules of family control. The bloodline has always been about unity, about dominance, about standing together. But what happens when standing together means suffocating the truth? What happens when family becomes a prison, and blood becomes a weapon? Jimmy Uso is left broken, both in body and in reputation. Naomi remains silent, and the bloodline's legacy trembles beneath the weight of unanswered questions. In the end, this isn't just about titles or victories. This is about betrayal, broken trust, and the haunting truth that sometimes the deepest wounds are not inflicted by enemies, but by those who share your blood.